warm welcome to English News Bulletin on Med News. Here with you with top stories from Turkey and Kurdistan. Salafist Islamic State of Iraq and Syria ISIS members on the many villages on the banks of the Euphrates rivers in the Shirin district of Kobani known as Ain al-Arab cantons. YPG forces responded to attacks and killed more than 70 ISIS members. Clashes broke out after the People's Defense Forces YPG responded, in which 3 amirs, means leaders, and 10 gangs members were killed. YPG forces say they have the bodies of 3 amirs, including those of Abu Yusuf Tanfizi and Adem Chechani, and an unidentified Egyptian, and those of 9 Salafist ISIS members. 3 YPG fighters are also reported to have died in clashes that have continued since Tuesday. They have been named as Aziz Hussein, 20, John Feda Dirok, 19, and Sheho Shahin, 22. On the other hand, YPG forces have liberated the village of Tel Hanzir, 25 kilometers to the west of Serikanye, known as Ras Al Ain. One eyewitness reported around 100 wounded ISIS members carried to ex-National Hospital in Manbij. The YPG is expected to make a detailed statement soon. A new recording has been leaked by Başçalan Prime Thief YouTube account. Turkish Airlines allegedly shipped weapons to unknown groups in Nigeria, which has been ravaged by violence between the army and Al-Qaeda-linked Boko Haram organization. Before, many times large amounts of weapons had been discovered on a truck, which were so-called taken aids to Syria. It had been reported that a person in the long vehicles from the MIT, Turkish National Intelligence Organizations, and did not want the vehicle to be researched.
Allegedly of a conversation between Mustafa Varank, the chief advisor to Turkish Prime Minister Tayyip Erdogan, and Turkish Airlines executive assistant Mehmet Karakaş on the issue of weapons deliveries to Nigeria using Turkish Airlines planes to transport the goods to the West African nation. In recording tapes, Karakaş asking bluntly whether the weapons are going to kill Muslims or Christians, and references made to Turkish Intelligence Service MIT chief Hakan Bey. This latest leak has caused outrage across the worldwide and could very well open the door to serious consequences should these allegations be proved true. Turkish Airlines denied to carrying weapons to Nigeria. In official statement, Turkish Airlines said, as company policy, Turkish Airlines does not carry arms cargo to countries where there is a lack of authority and clashes. Boko Haram, Al-Qaeda-linked organization, operates many terrorist attacks in petroleum and oil resources area of Nigeria. Here is leaked recording.
Alo. Mustafa selamünaleyküm. Aleykümselam abi. Mustafa sana bir konu arz etmiştim ama hatırlıyor musun? Şu bizim taşıma hususuyla ilgili.
Ya onun biz Hakan Bey'le bir araya gelemedik de ondan dönemiyorum
ya
sana.
Mustafa yani
çok acil.
Tonlarca malzeme taşıyoruz. Nijerya'ya gidiyor şu anda, tamam mı? Müslümanları mı öldürecek, Hristiyanları mı öldürecek?
Anladım abi.
Cebel altındayız, haberin olsun.
Tamam
yani.
1-2 güne sana haber veriyorum. 1-2 güne.
Allah'a emanet. Tamam. Ya bize bir kontak numarası versin, onunla istişare etsinler yani, tamam mı?
Tamam. Hadi sağ ol.
Kurdish people announced in January the establishment of democratic self-administration in the 3 Kurdish cantons. Now, from BBC, Jim Moore writes a news about Kurdish resistance against ISIS and other Al-Qaeda-linked groups.
Jim Moore wrote, ISIS occupied Tel Maruf for less than 24 hours. The Popular Protection Unit, YPG, the mainly Kurdish militia that controls this canton, known as Al Jazeera, along the Kurdish and Iraqi borders in remote northeastern Syria, relied for a counter-attack and the ISIS fighters pulled out. They left behind an extraordinary trail of devastation in a village now virtually deserted except for chickens, cats, stray dogs and YPG fighters. Any building associated with the YPG was ransacked and torched. But by far the greatest damage was done to the village's two mosques, which were systematically demolished, not the collateral damage of war, but deliberate destruction. For most Muslims, this would be the ultimate acts of desecration because they consider the Quran the sacred word of God. Local people think, we have no problems among ourselves. The trouble is these terrorist Takfiri gangs sent by Saudi Arabia, Qatar and Turkey, and behind them the West is sending us their terrorists, the scum of Europe. They grow beards but they have nothing to do with Islam. What kind of Muslim would destroy a mosque and desecrate the grave of a sheikh who taught generations of students? ISIS itself said that two of its fighters killed at Tel Maruf were from the United Arab Emirates. Also Jim Muir wrote, they were 3 Turks, 3 Iraqis, and 1 each from Tunisia, Libya and Bahrain. Stamps on their passports show that the Arabs had transit through Turkey. All the things shows us, especially in Turkey, that continues to support jihadist groups. This means more freedom of the Kurds takes long time.
Following Kurdish people's leader Abdullah Öcalan's declaration of democratic liberation and construction of free life at Nowruz 2013, Ahmed is preparing for a majestic Nowruz this year. The fact that a new Öcalan's message is to be read out at the celebration on 21st of March or tomorrow has been focused attention on Ahmed.
According to a press release from the Democratic Society Congress, DTK, more than 600 guests and 400 local and foreign journalists are to be present. Delegations from other parts of Kurdistan and from abroad are also expected. Hero Ibrahim Talabani, the wife of Iraqi president and PUK leader Jalal Talabani, and many leading members of the PUK, Karim Sinjari from the Kurdistan regional government, and KDP Central Committee member Serbest Lezgin will also attend. Representatives of the Goran Movement, Kurdistan Islamic Movement, PCDK and other parties and civil society organizations from South Kurdistan are also expected at the Nowruz celebrations in Ahmed. Parliamentary delegations from Spain, Iceland, Germany and other European countries and delegations of Friends of the Kurds will also witness this historic day. Diplomats from the Ankara embassies of Belgium, Denmark, France, Italy, the Netherlands, Switzerland and the United States are also to attend. A delegation from Bolivia, including Group Chair Flora Aguilar and Senators Roberto Rojas and Demetrio Garcia from the Governing Movement for Socialism (MAS) party, will be present as a guest of the BDP. Vicent Partel is the director of Vila Web, a Catalan paper and cultural space. Partel is a journalist and writer. He is heavily involved in the campaign for the independence of Catalonia and is the author of a very important book on the issue. He sent his message to Abdullah Öcalan and the Kurdish people celebrating Nowruz.
Hundreds and thousands joined the Nowruz celebration across Turkey and Kurdistan. Let's watch some of colorful footage of those celebrations together. The European Court of Human Rights, ECHR, has found that Turkey has violated Article 3 of the European Convention on Human Rights with regards to its treatment of Kurdish leader Abdullah Öcalan. BDP co-chair Selahattin Demirtas said Turkish government must put an immediate end to İmralı system and introduce a provision that complies with the ECHR.
Öcalan's application to the ECHR claimed violations of Articles 2, 3 and 8 of the Convention. In its judgment, the ECHR found by a majority of 4-3 that the fact there was no possibility of parole for Öcalan was a violation of Article 3 of the Convention. The court emphasized that a life sentence meant lifelong isolation for Mr. Öcalan and ordered Turkey to pay €25,000 in compensation. Four judges against 3 ruled that the Article 8 of the Convention on the Right to Respect for Private and Family Life was not violated by Turkey, and unanimously ruled that Article 7, no punishment without law, was not violated. The European Court of Human Rights ruled that PKK leader Abdullah Öcalan's aggravated life sentence violated the Convention article related to prohibition of inhuman or degrading treatment. The European Court of Human Rights issued a verdict on the various applications of Abdullah Öcalan, PKK leader. The aforementioned applications concern his aggravated life sentence in İmralı prison, submitted by Öcalan's attorneys in 2003, 2004, 2006 and 2007. Öcalan's attorneys complained about their client's social isolation in the prison on the island of İmralı and his sentence of life imprisonment without any possibility of release. Under Article 8, right to respect for private and family life, they also complained of restrictions on Öcalan's telephone communications, on his correspondence and on visits from his relatives and lawyers. Lastly, relying on Article 2, right to life, Öcalan's lawyers alleged that he was gradually being poisoned in prison. As regards the period subsequent to 17 November 2009, the court found that Öcalan had not attained the minimum threshold of seriousness required to constitute inhuman treatment and there had not therefore been a violation of Article 3. On the other hand, ECHR held that Öcalan's social isolation had not been total but partial and relative in respect of the period prior to 17 November 2009. Neither could he be regarded since that date as having been held in serious social isolation. The ruling was held by 6 votes to 1. Responding to press inquiries, President Abdullah Gül said the following on the ECHR verdict. I saw the ECHR verdict this morning. However, experts need to work closely on the document. BDP co-chair Selahattin Demirtas said, after the elections, the government must put an immediate end to the İmralı system and introduce a provision that complies with the ECHR. Demirtas emphasized the important findings in the judgment, saying, firstly, it has found Mr. Öcalan's aggravated life sentence to be a violation. Demirtas stressed that it was vital the government change the law to allow the possibility of parole, saying according to the European Convention on Human Rights that a person could not be held in prison until they died. Demirtas added that the government had a constitutional obligation to implement the judgments of the ECHR. If the judgment is not implemented within 3 months, the Council of Ministers must put the judgment on its agenda.
One million signatures has been collected to demand for freedom of Kurdish leader Abdullah Öcalan. 1 million signatures has been collected in a month's time for freedom of Kurdish leader Abdullah Öcalan. The Demands for Peace platform has launched the Freedom for Öcalan signature campaign on 15th of February 2014. Signature campaign supported by various writers, journalists and politicians. The Freedom for Öcalan campaign aims to collect 10 million of signatures. A member of the campaign, Ayla Yıldırım, gave information regarding the campaign and said up until now, they have collected 1 million signatures. Yıldırım said their struggle for freedom of Öcalan will continue. Following a request by Berkin Elvan's lawyer, Evrim Deniz Karatana, eyewitnesses have talked about Berkin's being struck by a gas cartridge.
18 years old OK said he was a friend of Berkin's and that on the day of the incident, Berkin had raised his hand and shouted at the police, "Don't fire, I'm going to buy bread." OK said that Berkin had been struck on the head by a cartridge as he entered the street and had fainted, and that they had taken him to the SSK hospital in Ok Meydanı. OK said in his statement that he had seen a fair-haired policeman give instructions to another officer and that he had seen a gas cartridge fired by this officer injure Berkin. 38 years old eyewitness S.Y. said Berkin had cried "Mommy" after being hit on the head by a gas cartridge and had then lost consciousness. A group of university students occupied an abandoned house in Beşiktaş and named it Berkin Elvan Student House. 25 students affiliated with People's Democratic Party, HDP, assembled in front of the Eagle statue in Istanbul's Beşiktaş district and marched towards the house. It is reported that the old four-story building hasn't been resided for years. Youngsters occupied the house on the birthday of Ali İsmail Korkmaz and named it Berkin Elvan, a 15-year-old boy who died during the Gezi protests. The group hung the banner Beşiktaş Berkin Elvan Student House on the window of the apartment after breaking the padlock of the house. "We came to the street as a friend and a neighbor. We're calling everybody, especially forums and neighborhood residents, for cleaning. We will transform here into a student house by making it public. We will build a library, create a study center, and organize symposiums as time goes by. There will be culture and art activities," youngsters said in a statement.
Yokuşların kenti at üstte diyor. Kalıp kalkıyor, esas oruyor. Güneş, güneş yine doğuyor. Sabah oluyor, sabah oluyor. Güneş, güneş.
Berkin Elvan is not the first child who died as a result of state violence. Hundreds of children lost their lives because of the state violence since 1988. Human rights organization report shows that since 1988 till now, 576 children killed and their cases ended without any punishment of killers. Human rights activists call Turkey as a deaf children's country.
Most of the perpetrators did not stand trial. They went unpunished. Berkin Elvan, a 15-year-old boy who remained in a comatose for 269 days due to a police gas bomb canister during Gezi Park protests, lost his life on 11th of March 2014. He is not the first child who died as a result of state violence in Turkey. According to a report by IHD, Human Rights Association, the Diyarbakır branch entitled 2012 Violation Report devoted to children in eastern and southeastern Anatolia region. 569 children lost their lives due to the Turkish state military operations against Kurdish people and their defense forces PKK between 1988 and 2013. Only in 2012, landmines and random bombs took the life of 7 children. While 2 children died due to the violence inflicted by security forces, official fault and neglect also resulted in the death of 5 children. According to IHD's report, security forces fired gas bombs randomly. According to a report by a Turkey Without Mines initiative, 23 children died only in Turkey in 2009 because of mines and explosives remaining from the war. Entitled Monitoring Mine and Cluster Bombs, the report was published in November 2010. On 28th of September 2009, 14 years old Ceylan Önkol lost her life by an explosive casted from the military zone Hambas Field, Şenlik village of Lice district in Diyarbakır province. In 2004, 12 years old Uğur Kaymaz killed with 13 bullets with his father Ahmet Kaymaz by the police in Mardin, Kızıltepe.
Now, before we end our news bulletin for tonight, we'll leave you to watch a documentary called Rojava, a Newborn Country, directed by Fabio Busserraglio and Eduardo Mates. The documentary explains the story of Rojava Revolution and the Kurdish resistance against ISIS and regime forces. Now, this is it from us. We will see you next week at the same time. Thanks for watching us. Goodbye.